What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Devil's Details Diecast Custom Build Series. And as you can see on the turntable, we have a bunch of random parts that will hopefully come together to make another rat rod, you guessed it. We have a cab from the Way Too Fast that I've been scouring parts off of. We have this base from a Maisto, however you want to say it. That is going to be the chassis for said Way Too Fast. We have an engine from I don't know where, but it's big and it's blown out. And it's going on here. We have some 3D printed wheels. I believe these were from Grizz, I don't remember. And we have a couple of side steps from an M2 Hummer. Not sure I'm going to use those, but I found them, and I may try to attach them to the sides here just for a little bit of accoutrement, if you will. And that's about it. So hopefully this will come together pretty quick. I've kind of mocked it up already, as I kind of have to do with these rat rods before I decide to make one, because I definitely want to see if everything is going to fit. I really don't want to strip this cab because I do like the checkerboard top. I'm not really big on the orange, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I may just scuff up the sides and then just throw some paint on it. I may even keep the orange. I'm not sure. Yeah, I really don't know what I want to do except for get rid of this turntable. I do like the checkerboard pattern, so we're going to see what we can do with this. It should be a quick build here, so not much to it other than some assembly, some paint on those 3D printed parts, and some crossed fingers. So stick around, see what we come up with. So here's a quick mock-up of what I'm working with here. I realize that I am too much of a bull in a china shop with 3D printed wheels, because I broke both sets trying to put rods in them for axles. And unfortunately, putting the cab on top of the chassis made it not line up with the rear wheels. So I started playing around with the chassis a little more. I trimmed a little bit off, and I dropped the cab lower. And it still needs some adjusting, of course, but found those nice blacked out wheels that I'm going to use for the back. And I just bought a new set of Greenlight Bronco wheels that I put on the front, which I think make a nice little set. And I'm still deciding whether or not to cut out the whole firewall to stick the transmission portion of the engine, or just cut the transmission portion off, which I think is what I'm going to do. Much easier to cut the transmission off of the engine than to have to cut all the die cast off of the cab. I'm going to tuck those rear wheels in a little bit more, and then I still got to figure out something for the front. I do have some more 3D printed radiators that I could use, but I'm trying to think of something different. So I may come out with like a longer nose or a different front end or something. I don't know yet. So just wanted to give you an update on the look that I'm going for. I don't really have a drop down cab rat rod yet as of this recording. So I think this fits really nicely. I also decided that I am going to, instead of just dropping this in the stripper, I'm just going to put stripper on all the orange parts around the bottom, not getting it on the top, and just leaving it out of the stripper to let it do its job. And that way I can preserve as much of the checkerboard on top as possible. Of course, it's going to be all weathered and dirty, but I wanted to preserve some of that as well. So stick around. We're still working on it here, but I just wanted to throw an update to you guys, and still continuing on. So here's the Way Too Fast out of the stripper, and I gotta say I'm very pleased with the way I was able to preserve the chessboard or checkerboard on the top. Aside from that little bit of orange around the outside, I'm pretty psyched with how that turned out. There is a little bit of orange on the inside, which I'll clean out, and I'll just take the X-Acto around the trim of that checkerboard and remove that orange as well. And then when I go to paint, I'll just mask that off, obviously, and preserve it. So just wanted to give you guys a shot of how the stripping came out. Super pleased with that. So stick around for the rest of the build. And if you remember, this is what we started with. The cab from a Way Too Fast, random engine, a couple of 3D printed tires, and a base from a Maisto toy, not sure which one, a couple of sidebars from an M2 Hummer, a little imagination, and here's what we came up with. The Rook Rod, and I'd have to say checkmate on this build because it is done. Super happy again with how this came out. Preserved the top checkerboard there, or chessboard as it's now become. I did preserve the Hot Wheels logo because I think it's kind of fun to have quote-unquote real world cars with Hot Wheels logos. Really love the stance on this and how it came out. I went with the white, which is not often seen on a rat rod. I kind of have trouble sometimes weathering a white rat rod because once you start weathering it, it just kind of gets really dirty. But what I did was I just took some Tamiya clear smoke and just kind of tried to trace around most of the raised areas and a couple of spots around the rear tub where maybe it would you know, get hit upon or maybe bounce off the wall or something like that. Got the nice big engine in there with the radiator and the cooling line and the painted blower, and of course the painted radiator shroud to tie it all in. I was going to put some Rook decals on it, but decided against it. I kind of like the clear, well, it's not clear white, but the the plain white, and I think the chessboard on top is enough decal for anything for this build. So hope you enjoyed it. I know there wasn't much to the build itself. Again, kind of just a very plain Maisto base. I hit it with some Typhus Corrosion and some Lead Belcher, which are becoming two of my favorite paints from Citadel. Not sure why I took so long to purchase those, but hit the engine also with some Typhus Corrosion and Lead Belcher, and I believe as well as the 3D printed radiator. The front is Lead Belcher. So big shout out to Keith for introducing me to those paints and listening to him rattle off those names about 1,000 times. So props to Keith for that. This is going to go on the Rat Rod shelf along with the other builds, and we're on to the next one. So stick around for some glamour shots. Until then, be well.
Ha 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 ha!